Luisa Martinez.
And I'm Aaliyah Bailey. It's Sunday, December the 16th at 3 p.m. And this is the Geography News in El Paso, Texas, reporting on a past event that greatly impacted the cultural diversity in modern America.
We now turn to Haley Payne in San Jose. She's going to inform us about Vietnamese immigration to the United States from the Vietnam War from 1975 to 1996, along with detailing how it affected modern-day America and what factors caused them to migrate here. To you, Haley.
Thank you, Luisa. Here I am today in San Jose going over past events that have taken place here, as well as why it happened. San Jose has the largest Vietnamese population in the United States, with over 100,000 Vietnamese Americans residing here.
Has Vietnamese immigration continued to the U.S., or was the majority of the population coming in from the late 20th century?
Approximately 800,000 Vietnamese immigrants reached the United States by the end of the Vietnam War, which is far less than the 1.3 million Vietnamese immigrants in the U.S., but the migration to the U.S. did peak during the late 20th century, and less so recently. There are usually four main reasons that someone would emigrate, being political, social, economic, and natural. Political factors such as war, social factors such as persecution, bad or plateaued economy, and environmental issues were some of the factors that led to Vietnamese people immigrating to the U.S. and other countries, similar to the causes of other people's migration throughout history. Because of the war, they decided it would be best to leave in order to save themselves from being caught in the crossfire. The Vietnamese economy was also on a steady decline, which caused some to leave even before the war. The constant emigration resulted in low population in Vietnam, and due to the war and lack of people, Vietnam remained in poverty. The U.S. had an estimate of 540,000 Vietnamese immigrants during the time period of the war, which eventually rose to 800,000 in the aftermath. Population increased dramatically in the U.S. because of how many immigrants came in. People like Ravenstein and his 10 laws have provided us with knowledge over migrational patterns. Our commentator will be connecting migration theories to emigration out of Vietnam. This is Haley Payne, returning you to the studio, and to Luisa Martinez and Aaliyah Bailey.
Thank you, Haley. We're now connecting why the Vietnamese came to the U.S. with Ravenstein's migration theories with our commentator, Sophie Ramirez.
Thank you, Aaliyah and Haley. I believe that the Vietnamese had plenty of good reasons for immigrating to the U.S. For one, they were endangered by the Vietnam War at the time, which would of course be a large contributing factor to the immigration from South Vietnam. Ravenstein's laws can certainly be tied into the immigration of the Vietnamese. For example, Vietnam is primarily rural. There are long-range migrants who immigrated to urban areas in the United States, such as San Jose and Los Angeles in California and Houston, Texas, which then caused those cities to grow more off of immigrants rather than natural increase. 200,000 more immigrants went to the surrounding countries such as Hong Kong, Singapore, and Indonesia. Most immigrants followed steps in order to migrate. For example, they'd stay a bit in the country before fully moving into the U.S. And because they traveled a lot in the U.S., it triggered the action-reaction law, which obviously, Asian countries lost migration. Additionally, males were mostly long-range immigrants, while females migrated more to the surrounding countries that weren't under the influence of communism. While Ravenstein's law states that the females mostly migrate in-country, an exception can be made for this case due to the fact that there wasn't really an option to stay in Vietnam. The immigrants were mostly adults, although many of them brought their children with them and applied for refugee status or citizenship.
Wasn't there a second wave of migration as well after the climax of the war was over?
The second wave of Vietnamese immigrants primarily migrated due to the economic reasons because of the collapse of the economy after the war. And though the U.S. received more immigrants, they did not benefit from the economy of the U.S. as for the wages of the war was more than the helping hands received.
Thank you, Sophie Ramirez, for your comments.
And that is the news on Sunday, December 16th, 3 p.m. in El Paso, Texas. Join us at 11 tonight for the latest breaking news, and again tomorrow at 6. Thank you.
Isn't it that...
This is going in the end of the credits. Woo! Party, party.